first, let's focus on Hurricane Erin. Hurricane Erin will brush by the east coast of the U.S. with the biggest impacts likely right around that Carolina coast. Really the worst of it tonight through tomorrow morning and afternoon. Outer banks of North Carolina and now the Virginia coast under tropical storm warning. So even though Hurricane Erin will not slam into the U.S. East Coast, there will be multiple impacts. Those outer rain bands of Erin are actually now approaching the Carolina coast. It's not super close to the Carolina coast, but the hurricane has grown so large to where that tropical storm force wind field is starting to get fairly close. So you could see the eye of Erin here, and the eye of Erin is about 300 miles away from the Carolina coast, but the tropical storm force winds extend out about 265 miles from that center of circulation from the eye. So those winds are getting close. Outer rain bands are already starting to kind of flirt with the Carolina coast. So we do have conditions expected to go downhill through this evening, tonight, and for Thursday as well. You can see Erin is a slightly weaker Category 2 hurricane, but it actually is expected to re-strengthen at least back to a major Category 3 hurricane by tonight and tomorrow. So that means as it gets close to the Carolinas, it's likely going to be a major hurricane. You can see those tropical storm warnings in place from the outer banks of North Carolina all the way up through the Virginia coast and even farther north of those locations. So the impacts will be felt across multiple states. And really the rip current risk is going to be up and down the eastern seaboard of the U.S. Here's the latest with Hurricane Erin moving north at 14 miles per hour. So no chance of this making a turn and coming back towards the Gulf. It certainly will not impact the Gulf, but it will impact parts of the east coast of the U.S. Maximum sustained winds 110 miles per hour, so that makes it a very high-end Cat 2 hurricane. One more mile per hour added to that, and it would be a Category 3 hurricane. So very close to major hurricane status once again. Actually, the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center calls for this to be right back to a major hurricane by 1 a.m. Thursday, 115 mile per hour winds, and then back down to a Category 2 Friday, Category 1 Saturday as it rolls away from the U.S. and likely a tropical storm moving into cooler waters this weekend and losing those tropical characteristics eventually. But for now, it is certainly still a hurricane, and you can see it spinning here on our Fox Weather tropical model close to the Carolinas tonight, Thursday morning, Friday morning, still fairly close to parts of the northeastern U.S. You can see Boston there, New York, Philly. It will start to move away from the U.S. though this weekend as it gradually weakens as it moves into that cooler water. But there will be significant impacts. Hurricane Erin will bring that tropical storm force wind field to the Carolinas likely Thursday morning. That's going to be the worst of it. Also the potential for waves over 20 feet for the Carolina coast. You can see 8 a.m. Thursday, this model predicting wave heights around 24, 25 feet. So that wave height increase will impact not just the Carolinas, but parts of the northeastern U.S. coast as well. All right, what about the rip current risk? That is going to remain high. There will be the threat for some of those heavy rain bands lashing the mid-Atlantic and northeast, so there could be a few totals that could amount to several inches, so the flood risk will be increased. Notice the rip current risk is widespread all the way up and down the eastern seaboard, so we are keeping a close eye, tracking Erin. Fortunately, not headed towards the Houston area. So we've had 5 named storms so far this season for the Atlantic. Next name on the list is Erin, and we are already keeping a close eye on 2 tropical waves behind Erin that could turn into Erin. We've had the 5 named storms, 1 hurricane, 1 major hurricane, so we are not up to that average just yet of named storms and hurricanes, but of course hurricane season is not over. In fact, we're just getting to what is typically the busiest part of hurricane season, and in fact that next named storm, the F name, usually comes around August 29th, so we'll likely have it right around that time frame or maybe a little earlier, because we're already monitoring additional systems behind Hurricane Erin. So here are the next two tropical waves that we may have to worry about in our tropical outlook. Areas to watch: disturbance number 1 in the central Atlantic, 60% medium chance for development with that. And then we got Invest 99L hanging out in the eastern Atlantic, now up to a medium 40% shot for development. It was a low chance yesterday, so that development shot has improved. All right, let's look at the first tropical wave with our GFS Futurecast. Notice that it is very close to Puerto Rico, Hispaniola by Saturday afternoon, likely staying just north of those Caribbean islands. And then I want you to watch what happens. The GFS model really shifts this system to the north. So even if it does blow up into tropical storm or Hurricane Fernan this weekend, it's going to roll north and it's not heading to the Gulf. So more good news with that one. Now, what about Invest 99L behind this one? Here are the latest spaghetti model plots, taking it to the west as we go through this weekend, closer to the northern Leeward Islands. After that, models are still unsure as to if it would continue to push west or head north, but we've still got several days to watch this one. So bottom line, whether it's this system or one behind it, there will be a higher risk for some impacts for us as we get closer to September, because this is usually the busiest time of our hurricane season. Last bit of August, it is an elevated risk pretty much everywhere for the Gulf, the Western Atlantic, and especially in the Central Atlantic. We call that our main development region, Central Eastern Atlantic. Those waves coming off of the coast of Africa will likely increase as we go through the last few weeks of this month, and especially for September. So please be alert, stay aware. Keep in mind that there may not be much action in the Gulf now, but that could quickly change. So make sure you've got your proper insurance for flooding, for wind damage, and also make sure you've got all of the hurricane gear that you might need ready to go. You don't want to be scrambling at the last minute trying to get all of that stuff together, and supplies at the stores run out quick when everybody is panicking. So make sure you're prepared when it's quiet so that if we do get something, you will be ready to go. More Texas Live and Local when we return.